you didn't start training MMA until what?
A year and a half ago, basically.
It's insane how fast you can, and that's where like God-given talents are one thing, but you got to give it credit to you for your mindset and your training. Like that doesn't come overnight. And do you feel like, walk me through again, like first month, like how did it feel to get punched in the face for the first time?
Yeah. So, for me, I feel like fighting was always very natural to me, like growing up. So when I was 5th, 6th, 7th grade, I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and very like fight oriented culture, right? A lot of like John Jones from there, at that time there was tons of UFC champions training out of Jackson's gym in Albuquerque, big gym, still a big gym today. And so that was a very common thing. So I would wrestle at a tournament and wrestle my match. Let's say we're at like a high school or something. And then, I would go back into a hallway where none of the parents were with 20, 30 kids, and we would fight. Like, so you'd wrestle your match, you'd go back, you'd fight. You'd wrestle your match, you'd go back, you'd fight. And it would just be like a ring of kids, no adults, and they would just be like, you and you, go.
What?
Who's orchestrating that?
The kids.
What are you talking about?
It was like Fight Club, like no joke. Like we would just fight each other. Like that was normal for us. So like I loved it. I don't know why, but that's where I was.
But did it turn?
Fun.
It was a fight, but did it started as stand up and it always ended up on the ground?
No, it was it was just like stand up, like fight each other, like no takedowns. Usually if they took it was like a normal fight. Like if you take them down, you come back up because we were already wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't need to wrestle anymore. So you'd wrestle and then you'd fight. And that was like a normal thing. And then me and my friends would be in the living room. We'd literally fight each other like for fun. And sometimes we'd be pissed and crying and mad at each other. You'd usually make up or whatever, but like that was fun for us. And so I always gravitated towards fighting. I always watched the UFC and loved it. And so, it was always in the back of my head, like, this could be something I do. When I was in college, then I was like, I'm doing this, like, 1,000,000%.
Did that mindset, do you think, was it almost like, U.S. trials or Olympic wrestling or UFC, or like, is that where it split? Or
no, it was much before then. It was probably like between my sophomore and junior year. So what actually happened, I remember the actual instance. So I was doing a camp in Missouri, and I'd finished the camp, and then this guy that was, I think he had a kid who I was teaching, was like, hey, we're doing Jiu Jitsu over here if you want to come and roll and stuff. And I was like, I guess, like, I don't know. And so I had 10, so it was kind of funny. It started off, they brought me in with like a white belt, and I like,
oh, that poor guy,
messed him up. And I mean, I watched MMA and
can you imagine being the white belt that's like, oh, I gotta go against
so like,
this guy with funny ears, and then
like, just yeah. So I know how to like I know how to do like a rear naked choke. I know how to do like a guillotine. Like I know like these basic submissions just from watching MMA. And so like I submit him, and then they're like, okay, blue belt, and like same thing, like kind of tune him up, smoke him, and then they're like, all right, purple belt. And then it's like kind of competitive, but like I'm still like getting the better of them.
This is your first day?
I've never done, they're not teaching me anything. I'm just literally like, these guys are rotating, everyone's watching.
How old are we?
This is like my sophomore year, junior year of college. So 23, maybe 22.
Okay.
Yeah. But I've never trained, and they're not like, hey, this is what you need to do. They're just like, go. And I'm like, okay.
How are you beating these? But what are you doing?
Just like take them down, hold them down, like take their back. Like, you know how to do this. I know how to like do this. I've watched like a lot of MMA, right? So like I've seen people do certain things. And then in wrestling, just from wrestling, you also know like when you're putting pressure on somebody, like, all right, like I could probably like, I've choked guys out in wrestling matches, like out cold before, just from having them in tight like moves that are legal in wrestling, but they're just like fighting, they're trying to fight off their back, and I have their neck or whatever, and like they'll go out. Like that happened quite a few times for me. But
so now you're on the purple belt. Go back to
so like white belt. I'm onto the purple belt, kind of like hold him down, tune him up a little bit. He gets tired, right? And this has like been 20, 30 minutes at this point. Then they're like
playing bull in the ring right here.
Yeah, seriously, exactly. So then they bring in this dude. He's like brown belt. He's like way bigger than me, like probably 6'4", like 240. And I'm like, all right, bro, whatever. Like I'm going to wear this dude down. Like I got to get him tired. And so I just start pulling on his head. And at first he's like cocky. So he's trying to like stand with me, like wrestle me. And I'm like, nah, dude, that ain't working out. So I'm pulling on his head, messing him up. And then like I get him so tired that he starts pulling guard, but he like can't do anything. He's like gassed out. I'm passing his guard. And I didn't submit him, but like I'm working him and stuff like that. And so at this point I've been going 45 minutes. These guys just rotating on me. The instructor, black belt, probably a 50-year-old dude, only guy, he's in a gi, right? So everybody else was no gi, like shorts, t-shirt stuff. This guy's in a gi. He's like not that big. He's maybe like 5'10", 5'11", but he's like thick. Like he had to have been 240-ish. And I'm like,
But
all
you've
right.
already wrestled these other
I've already
3 guys
Yeah, I've already gone. And
for
this
45 minutes.
So
4
these guys were all 45 minutes. These guys were all fairly young, like anywhere from my age to like 30. And this the instructor was like 50 to 60 probably. And he's like, me and you now. I'm like, okay, whatever. He pulls guard immediately. He like locks me down half guard, and he's got a gi on. I'm in like shorts and t-shirt, so I'm like stuck. And so I'm like, all right, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm gonna try to get my leg out. Like, can't get my leg out. He like tries to wrist lock me a couple of times, and I like freak out. I'm like, get him out, and like I don't tap. And then I just kind of grab his head in his arm, and I'm just like squeezing him, holding him there. And we'd gone for probably like 10 minutes, 12 minutes, and I hadn't really like moved anywhere. He hadn't moved anywhere. We're just like locked down in this position. Like he wasn't going to let me pass his guard. I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't do anything. And then everybody kind of was like, all right, that's good. Stops it. Cause he was getting a little tired. He's old, right? Like,
Sure.
And of course. And so they stop it, and then everybody just starts clapping. They're like, that was amazing. And I was like, thank you. And the guy takes his gi off, has a shirt underneath. It's like his gym. I don't remember what the gym was, but he like takes his shirt off, gives it to me. He's like, good job and stuff. And I was like, all right, like that was weird.
Cool. Yeah,
It was a nice gesture.
That's nice.
It was a nice gesture. And I felt like after that, I mean, I wasn't going there. I was just going there to mess around. But then I was like, I like this.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this clip, be sure to check this one out right here because it's just as good or maybe even better. Cheers.